Charitableness is the rule and hone of caring more around others' joy and well-being than your possess. It's approximately being sacrificial instead of childish, and it's a key esteem in numerous societies and religions around the world. The term benevolence was popularized by the French rationalist Auguste Comte in the 19th century. He coined it as the inverse of vanity. The word comes from the Italian altrui, which is determined from the Latin alteri, meaning other people. In the creature kingdom, benevolence is watched when a person performs an activity that benefits another at an individual fetched. This might include relinquishing time, joy, or indeed chances of survival, without anticipating anything in return. For illustration, certain creatures might caution others of a predator's approach, gambling their possessed security in the process. Altruism is unmistakable from sentiments of devotion or concern for the common great, which are based on social connections. Genuine benevolence, in its purest shape, implies making a difference others without any individual associations or desires of benefits. In any case, there is a talk about approximately whether genuine benevolence exists in human brain research. A few contend that indeed apparently caring acts give individual fulfillment or inherent rewards, making them not completely charitable. This thought is known as mental egoism. Altruism can too be in moral conviction that individuals are ethically obliged to offer assistance others. This moral position is frequently differentiated with vanity, which recommends that people are ethically committed to prioritize their claim needs and interests. Effective benevolence takes this concept in courage by utilizing proof and reason to decide the most compelling ways to advantage others. It's approximately maximizing the positive effect of one's activities, frequently through cautious inquire about and vital giving. The concept of benevolence has a wealthy history in philosophical and moral thought. Since Auguste Comte presented the term, it has ended up a critical subject for clinicians, particularly those considering developmental brain research, as well as for developmental scholars and ethologists. Each field brings its possessed strategies and centers, driving to distinctive viewpoints on charitableness. In straightforward terms, benevolence includes caring almost the welfare of others and acting to offer assistance them, indeed if it implies putting their needs over one's own. In human studies, Marcel Mauss's paper The Blessing investigates the advancement of the idea of aid, charitable giving, from the concept of give up. He depicts how liberality got to be an ethical commitment, driven by the thought that those who have abundance, riches, and joy ought to share it with the less blessed, counting the destitute and children. This concept reflects an old ethical quality of the blessing, which has advanced into a rule of justice. In developmental science, benevolence alludes to behavior that increments the wellness of another person whereas diminishing the wellness of the on-screen character. This can be seen in various cases over diverse species. In human behavior, developmental brain research applies this concept to a wide extent of activities such as charity, crisis help, making a difference, fusion accomplices, tipping, romance endowments, creating open merchandise, and advancing environmentalism. Theories almost the roots of charitable behavior have created through conventional developmental investigations and developmental amusement hypothesis, which includes making numerical models and analyzing behavioral methodologies. One key thought is family determination, which recommends that both creatures and people are more likely to offer assistance near relatives than removed kinfolk or non-kin. Various ponders over distinctive societies have affirmed this inclination. Unpretentious signals demonstrating family relationship, such as facial likeness or sharing an uncommon family title, can unknowingly increment benevolent behavior. For occasion, inquire about has appeared that individuals are more likely to believe and offer assistance others who see like them or share their family title. Moreover, political talks that utilize connection terms tend to resound more with groups of onlookers, especially firstborns who regularly have closer family ties. Overall, charitableness is a complex and multifaceted concept that ranges over diverse disciplines, counting reasoning, brain research, science, and human studies. It includes a wide extent of behaviors and moral convictions, all centered around the thought of caring for others and acting in their best intrigued, in some cases at an individual fetched. Whether through acts of charity, ethical standards, or developmental instruments, benevolence remains an essential angle of human and creature behavior. Vested interface. Individuals are more likely to endure if their companions, partners, or those in their social in-groups endure or vanish. Making a difference. Individuals of these bunches can subsequently moreover advantage the altruist. Making in-group participation more discernible can increment cooperativeness. Extraordinary self-sacrifice towards the in-group may be beneficial if an antagonistic out-group debilitates the whole group. Reciprocal altruism. Direct correspondence. It can be useful to offer assistance others if there is a chance they will return the favor. The tit-for-tat technique is one case from amusement hypothesis, where individuals coordinate if and as it were if others do as well. This implies individuals are more agreeable if they anticipate future intelligent. Alternately, they are less agreeable if they accept there are less aides around or see others being uncooperative. This negative impact is frequently more grounded than the positive effect of watching agreeable behavior. Changing how a proposition is surrounded, like calling it a community amusement instead of a divider road amusement, can boost cooperativeness. Individuals tend to feel committed to respond when somebody makes a difference to them, a strategy utilized by charities that provide little endowments to potential givers to actuate correspondence. Freely declaring huge gifts can moreover energize giving. This inclination can indeed generalize, driving individuals to offer assistance others more after being made a difference themselves. Alternately, individuals may maintain a strategic distance from or strike back against those they see as non-cooperative. Mistaken assumptions can happen if offer assistance isn't recognized or expecting offer assistance isn't given, possibly causing clashes. In this way, a somewhat pardoning and liberal elucidation of non-cooperation can be an ideal procedure. Individuals are more likely to coordinate on errands if they can communicate in advance, permitting them to survey cooperativeness or trade guarantees. Trust building through continuous participation, or maybe then requesting broad offer assistance instantly, too cultivates participation. Coordinate correspondence and bunch participation can be improved by moving the center from intragroup competition to larger-scale competitions, such as between bunches or against the common populace. Hence, frameworks that base grades and advancements exclusively on person execution relative to a little nearby gather might decrease agreeable behaviors inside that group. Indirect correspondence. Individuals maintain a strategic distance from destitute reciprocators and cheaters, making notoriety pivotal. An individual known for their correspondence is more likely to get offer assistance, indeed from people they haven't straightforwardly connecting with before. Strong correspondence. This sort of correspondence includes individuals who contribute more assets and participation and discipline than what is considered ideal based on built-up hypotheses of altruism. Pseudo-reciprocity. In this case, an life form acts benevolently, and in spite of the fact that the beneficiary does not respond, they may carry on in a way that benefits the altruist as a byproduct of their claimed childish actions. Costly signaling and the cripple rule. Charitable behavior, by redirecting assets from the altruist, can serve as an fair flag of their accessible assets and their capacity to secure them. This may show to others that the altruist is a profitable potential accomplice and that they have agreeable eagerly. Somebody who does not anticipate future intuitive picks up nothing from such exorbitant signaling. Whereas it is dubious if exorbitant signaling can anticipate long-term agreeable characteristics, individuals tend to believe those who offer assistance others more. Expensive signaling loses its esteem when everybody offers indistinguishable characteristics, assets, and agreeable eagerly, but it gets to be more noteworthy as inconstancy in these viewpoints increments inside a population. For illustration, seekers who share meat illustrate an exorbitant flag of their capacity. Investigate appears that great seekers have higher regenerative victory and more two-faced relations, indeed if they do not get more of the chased meat than others. Additionally, facilitating huge feasts and making noteworthy gifts are ways of exhibiting one's assets. Gallant risk-taking is too seen as an expensive flag of capacity. Both backhanded correspondence and exorbitant signaling depend on the esteem of notoriety and regularly lead to comparative expectations. For occasion, individuals tend to be more accommodating when they know their activities will be communicated to others they will connected with afterward, freely declared, talked about, or watched by somebody else. This has been reported in numerous ponders, with individuals being more accommodating indeed with unobtrusive signals like stylized eye spots on a computer screen instead of a symbol. In any case, powerless reputational prompts like eye spots may lose their impact unless strengthened with real reputational consequences. Public shows, such as open sobbing for dead celebrities and cooperation in showings, may be persuaded by a want to be seen as liberal. Individuals who know they are being freely checked some of the time give cash inefficiently, knowing it isn't required by the beneficiary, due to reputational concerns. Regularly, ladies discover charitable men alluring as accomplices, particularly for long-term connections, as benevolence may show a eagerness to share assets with her and her children. Men regularly perform charitable acts early in sentimental connections or when in the nearness of an alluring lady. Whereas both genders state that benevolence is the most ideal characteristic in an accomplice, men may esteem it less than ladies do, and ladies may not appear expanded benevolence in the nearness of an appealing man. Men might indeed dodge charitable ladies for short-term connections, conceivably anticipating less success. People may compete for the social advantage of a great notoriety, driving to competitive charitableness. Be that as it may, a few tests appear that an extent of individuals do not care approximately notoriety and do not offer assistance more, indeed if it is obvious. This may be due to reasons such as psychopathy or being so appealing that they do not require to be seen as charitable. The reputational benefits of benevolence happen in the future, whereas the costs are prompt. By and large, people and other life forms put less esteem on future costs/benefits compared to show ones. People with shorter time skylines tend to be less cooperative. Explicit outward rewards and disciplines can some of the time have an converse impact on behaviors compared to natural rewards. This might be since outward motivations can supplant inborn and reputational motivating forces, causing people to center on getting the outward rewards, making the incentivized behaviors less alluring. Individuals incline toward benevolence in others when it appears to stem from identity or maybe than obvious reputational concerns. Indicating out reputational benefits can decrease the seen esteem of charitable activities, frequently utilized as a defamatory strategy against altruists, your fair ethicalness signaling. Be that as it may, a counterargument is that doing great for reputational reasons is superior than doing no great at all. Gather choice. A few developmental researchers, like David Sloan Wilson, have contended that common determination can act at the level of non-kin bunches, creating adjustments that advantage the bunch indeed if they are hindering to people. Agreeing to bunch choice hypothesis, whereas benevolent people may some of the time be outcompete by less charitable ones at the person level, bunches of benevolent people may outcompete bunches of less benevolent people. This shape of charitableness may be coordinated toward in-group individuals and went with by bias and hostility toward out-group individuals, in-group favoritism. Be that as it may, numerous developmental researchers criticize gather choice theory. These clarifications do not recommend that people deliberately calculate how to increment their comprehensive wellness when performing benevolent acts. Instead, advancement has formed mental instruments, like feelings, that advance charitable behaviors. Selective benevolence. The benefits of benevolence may be expanded, and the costs decreased, by being more charitable towards certain bunches. Investigate appears that individuals are more benevolent to kinfolk than non-kin, to companions than outsiders, to appealing people than ugly ones, to non-competitors than competitors, and to in-group individuals than out-group members. George R. Cost and the cost condition. The consider of charitableness propelled George R. Cost to create the cost condition, a scientific equation utilized to think about hereditary advancement. An interesting illustration of benevolence is seen in cellular sludge molds, such as Dictyostelium mucoroides. These protists live as person amoebae until starved, at that point total to frame a multicellular fruiting body. In this structure, a few cells give up themselves to advance the survival of others. Selective speculation hypothesis. This hypothesis proposes that near social bonds, along with related passionate, cognitive, and neurohormonal instruments, advance to encourage long-term, high-cost charitableness between those closely depending on each other for survival and regenerative success. Such agreeable behaviors have some of the time been utilized to contend for left-wing legislative issues. For case, Russian zoologist and rebel Dominish Kropotkin examined this in his 1902 book Shared Help, A Calculative Advancement, and ethical rationalist Dwindle Artist investigated comparable thoughts in his book A Darwinian Left. Neuroscientific Proof for Altruism. Jorge Moll and Jordan Grafman, neuroscientists at the National Organizing of Well-Being and Labs D. Healing Center organize, given groundbreaking proof on the neural basis of charitable giving in sound volunteers utilizing utilitarian attractive reverberation imaging, fMRI. Their inquire about illustrated that both financial rewards and charitable gifts enact the mesolimbic remunerate pathway, a primitive portion of the brain ordinarily responsive to nourishment and sex. In any case, when volunteers made charitable gifts, another brain circuit, the subgenual cortex/septal locale, was specifically actuated. These structures are related with social connection and holding in other species. This test proposed that benevolence is not essentially a higher ethical workforce overcoming egotistical wants, but or maybe an essential, imbued, and pleasant characteristic in the brain. Also, the subgenual front cingulate cortex/basal forebrain contributes to learning benevolent behavior, particularly in people with tall characteristic sympathy. The Ponder moreover distinguished an association between charitable giving and the advancement of social bonding. Bill Harbaugh, a financial specialist at the College of Oregon, conducted a comparable fMRI consider with analyst Dr. Ulrich Mayer. Their discoveries adjusted with those of Moll and Grafman, appearing that charitable giving enacts brain districts related with remunerate. They separated members into self-seekers and altruists, and found that indeed a few prideful people gave more than anticipated, demonstrating that components like environment and individual values moreover impact charitable behavior. A meta-analysis of fMRI considers by Sean Rhodes, Joe Cutler, and Abigail Bogg affirmed that charitableness is upheld by unmistakable instruments from giving persuaded by correspondence or decency. This ponder highlighted that the right ventral striatum is enacted amid benevolent giving, along with the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, reciprocal front cingulate cortex, and respective front insula, locales already connected to empathy. Abigail Marsh's investigate on real-world altruists, such as kidney givers to outsiders, found that these people have a bigger and more responsive amygdala compared to normal grown-ups. This expanded responsiveness to others' trouble reflects an empathic reaction and recommends the amygdala's part in encoding the esteem of results for others, reliable with discoveries in non-human creatures where amygdala action drives benevolent choices. Psychological altruism. The worldwide reference book of the social sciences characterizes mental benevolence as a motivational state to increment another's welfare, differentiating it with mental selfishness, which centers on self-welfare. Inquire about on real-world altruists, counting kidney benefactors, bone marrow benefactors, helpful help specialists, and gallant rescuers, demonstrates that these people are basically recognized by unselfish characteristics and decision-making designs, recommending a veritable tall valuation of others' outcomes. There is progressing wrangle about approximately whether people are competent of genuine mental charitableness. A few definitions emphasize self-sacrifice and a need of outside rewards. In any case, since benevolent acts regularly eventually advantage the self, demonstrating immaculate selflessness is challenging. The social trade hypothesis sets that benevolence exists when the benefits exceed the costs to the self. Psychologist Daniel Batson contended against the social trade hypothesis, recognizing four noteworthy thought processes for making a difference: profiting the self, pride, profiting another individual, charitableness, profiting a gather, collectivism, or maintaining an ethical guideline, principlism. Agreeing to Batson, empathy-induced benevolence can be really caring. The empathy-altruism theory attests that mental benevolence exists and is evoked by an empathic want to offer assistance somebody enduring. Sentiments of empathic concern, which persuade individuals to offer assistance others indeed when it is simple to dodge the circumstance, differentiate with individual trouble, which compels individuals to offer assistance to decrease their possess unsavory emotions. Altruistic behavior in early development. Helping behavior develops in people as early as a long time ancient, with little children able to get it and react to inconspicuous enthusiastic prompts. This early advancement of charitable behavior underscores its deep-rooted nature in human psychology. Psychological Investigate on Benevolence regularly investigates prosocial behaviors such as making a difference, comforting, sharing, participation, charity, and community benefit. These behaviors are ordinarily more likely to happen when people recognize that somebody is in require and feel an individual duty to lighten their trouble. This sense of obligation can be impacted by the number of bystanders display, a marvel known as the bystander impact. When more individuals are display, people may feel less actually mindful for taking activity. In any case, those with tall levels of empathic concern are likely to feel capable and take activity in any case of the number of bystanders. Studies have appeared that locks in involuntarism, a shape of charitableness, emphatically impacts bliss and well-being. Volunteers regularly report way better mental and physical well-being, higher life fulfillment, and a more noteworthy will to live, along with lower levels of misery, uneasiness, and somatization. For occasion, a think about on more seasoned grown-ups found that those who volunteered experienced these benefits more altogether than those who did not. Volunteerism not as it were moves forward mental well-being but to physical well-being and lifespan. This is ascribed to the expanded movement and social integration that volunteering energizes. One consider found that moms who volunteered were less likely to involvement major ailments compared to those who did not volunteer. Another ponder on grown-ups matured 55 and more seasoned found that those who volunteered for 2 or more organizations had an altogether lower probability of passing on over a 4-year period. Indeed, after bookkeeping for earlier well-being status, volunteerism still accounted for a considerable diminishment in mortality rates. The mindfulness of benevolence in oneself and others is moreover connected to more noteworthy well-being. One think about inquired members to tally their acts of thoughtfulness over a week, which altogether expanded their subjective joy. This proposes a bidirectional relationship where more joyful individuals tend to be kinder, and kinder individuals tend to be more joyful. Furthermore, ponders have appeared that liberality can increment from pitiful to cheerful emotional states, highlighting how positive feelings can cultivate charitable behaviors. Overall, these discoveries emphasize the significant effect of benevolence and prosocial behaviors on both person well-being and community well-being, outlining the inborn esteem and benefits of making a difference others. The impacts of feeling overtaxed by the needs of others. While making a difference others can have positive impacts on well-being and bliss, feeling overpowered by others' requests can adversely affect mental well-being. Inquire about on volunteerism has appeared that feeling overtaxed by the needs of others can lead to more regrettable mental well-being results than the positive impacts of making a difference, in spite of the critical benefits of volunteerism. Genetics and environment. Both hereditary qualities and environment play parts in forming prosocial or charitable behavior. Certain qualities, counting OXTR, oxytocin receptor polymorphisms, CD38, COMT, DRD4, DRD5, IGF2, AVPR1A, and GABRB2, are thought to impact charitableness by influencing neurotransmitter levels such as serotonin and dopamine. Sociology. Sociologists have long been interested in understanding how to construct a great society, looking at how charitable, and benevolent activities are spurred and organized for the common great. Open humanism, recognized by the American Sociological Affiliation, ASA, points to upgrade well-known and hypothetical understandings of benevolence to advantage society. Studies in human science center on how benevolence is surrounded and carried out, what persuades it at the bunch level, and how societal structures impact benevolent behaviors. For illustration, Inquire About has connected ethical shock to charitable recompense of casualties and found that liberality can be infectious, with individuals mimicking the liberal activities they watch in others. Religious viewpoints. Most world religions advance charitableness as a key ethical esteem. Religions like Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, Jainism, Judaism, and Sikhism emphasize charitable morality. Buddhism. In Buddhism, benevolence is central, with cherish and kindness coordinated towards all creatures. The Dalai Lama has emphasized that adore and sympathy are fundamental for human joy and lie at the center of our being. Charitableness in Buddhism is seen as advantageous for the practitioner's claim joy. The more we care for the bliss of others, the more prominent our possessed sense of well-being gets to be. This adjusts with the Buddhist concept of karma, which proposes that the results of our activities, joy or enduring, normally result from causing bliss or enduring to others. In outline, charitableness is a complex behavior affected by hereditary qualities, environment, social structures, and devout convictions. Whereas making a difference others can improve bliss and well-being, it is basic to adjust this with self-care to dodge feeling overpowered. Understanding the different components that advance and support benevolence can offer assistance construct more compassionate and strong communities. In Jainism, the rule of ahimsa, non-injury, is principle, pushing for love towards all life shapes. To begin with Tirthankara, Rishabdev, presented the concept of charitableness towards all conscious creatures, emphasizing non-violence, sympathy, and selflessness. Jainism sees each soul as break-even with and commendable of regard, advancing safeness towards all living creatures, counting minuscule life forms. The guideline of peacefulness points to minimize karmic results and recognizes diverse capacities for practicing charitableness among individuals. Christianity, with its accentuation on adore and kindness for others, gives a wealthy system for understanding and practicing charitableness. At the heart of Christian morals lies the commandment to cherish one's neighbor as oneself, a rule that underscores the natural esteem of each human being and calls devotees to expand care and kindness to others unconditionally. Thomas Aquinas, one of Christianity's most compelling scholars, offers significant experiences into the nature of cherish and benevolence. Whereas recognizing the significance of self-love as the establishment of cherish for others, Aquinas goes assist to emphasize the power of looking for the common great over person interface. In his philosophical system, charitableness is not simply an ethical commitment but a pathway to ethicalness and otherworldly fulfillment. By prioritizing the welfare of others and adjusting one's activities with the divine will, people take part in the continuous work of God's adore and beauty in the world. Central to Christian lessons is the idea that benevolence serves as it implies to commend God and accomplish unceasing delight. By adoring and serving others sacrificially, people imitate the case set by Jesus Christ, whose conciliatory cherish epitomizes the quintessence of Christian benevolence. The extreme objective of charitable behavior, agreeing to Christian tenet, is not as it were to advance the well-being of others but moreover to develop one's relationship with God and share in the divine communion of love. The significant association between adore of others and adore of God penetrates scriptural lessons, underscoring the indistinguishable connect between human connections and otherworldly commitment. All through the accounts, Jesus admonishes his supporters to cherish one another as he has cherished them, illustrating that acts of benevolence, sympathy, and selflessness are necessarily to the Christian confidence. Undoubtedly, the quintessence of Christian charitableness lies in recognizing the divine nearness in each individual and reacting with cherish and kindness, notwithstanding of social status, ethnicity, or creed. In outline, Christianity offers a vigorous moral system that champions benevolence as a sacrosanct obligation and a transformative otherworldly hone. By grasping the commandment to adore one's neighbor as oneself and epitomizing the magnanimous cherish exemplified by Jesus Christ, devotees not as it were fulfill their ethical commitments but moreover involve in significant communion with God and the fulfillment of their most noteworthy human potential. Judaism. Altruism is seen as the craved objective of creation in Judaism. Adore, characterized as bestowal or giving, is considered the most critical trait in humankind. Rabbi Abraham Isaac Kook emphasized that cherish leads to benevolence towards humankind and towards God. Kabbalah characterizes God as the constraint of giving in presence, emphasizing the reason of creation as accomplishing flawlessness and attachment with this drive. Present-day Kabbalah, created by Rabbi Yehuda Ashlag, centers on accomplishing a charitable social system as the reason of creation, raising humankind to the level of cherish and kindness for one another. In morals, there are different viewpoints on the ethical commitment or inspiration to act charitably. Moral charitableness attests that people are ethically bound to act for the advantage of others, whereas moral pride contends that ethical specialists ought to prioritize their self-interest. These C's differentiate with utilitarianism, which emphasizes maximizing generally advantage for oneself and others. Psychological pride, a concept in expressive morals, sets that people continuously act in their claimed self-interest, rendering genuine charitableness outlandish. Sound selfishness fights that level-headedness involves acting in one's self-interest without indicating its effect on ethical obligations. Effective charitableness is a logic and social development supporting evidence-based approaches to maximize positive effect on others. It energizes people to survey all causes and activities based on their values to accomplish the most noteworthy advantage. Successful charitableness recognizes itself from conventional benevolence by its wide, evidence-based, and cause-neutral approach. Key figures related with the development incorporate rationalist diminish vocalist, Facebook co-founder Dustin Moskovitz, and others like William McCaskill and Toby Ord from Oxford College, along with proficient poker player Liv Bory. Extreme charitableness, moreover known as exorbitant charitableness or gallant behavior, includes caring acts coordinated toward outsiders that altogether surpass ordinary benevolent behaviors, frequently at extraordinary hazard or taking a toll to the altruist. Illustrations incorporate non-directed kidney gift, accumulating of creatures, and magnanimous programs that accidentally compound the circumstances they point to aid. One concept related to extraordinary charitableness is hardcore charitableness, characterized by incautious activities toward outsiders without desire of remunerate. Investigate in this zone has been restricted due to moral rules limiting introduction of members to hazardous or expensive choices, coming about in ponders essentially centering on living organ givers and beneficiaries of grants like the Carnegie Saint Medal. Characteristics of extraordinary altruists incorporate solid individual ethical standards, an improved capacity to recognize fear, and an inclination toward quick decision-making, frequently stemming from instinctive reactions or maybe then cautious thought. Moral talks about emerge with respect to the fittingness of uncovering givers to dangers related with extraordinary charitableness, especially in the setting of living organ gift, where laws change by country. Extreme altruists, those people who lock in magnanimous acts of critical size, regularly show an unmistakable characteristic compared to the common populace. They show lower levels of social marking down, demonstrating that they put a higher esteem on the welfare of outsiders than the normal individual does. This penchant for extraordinary altruists to prioritize the well-being of others, indeed at individual fetched, proposes a significant commitment to charitable standards that rises above normal social norms. Furthermore, ponders looking at the socio-economic foundations of extraordinary altruists, such as beneficiaries of the Carnegie Legend Grant, have uncovered captivating designs. A considerable extent of people recognized for their extraordinary charitable deeds come from lower socioeconomic strata. This marvel has been credited to different components, counting the predominance of high-risk occupations among lower-income bunches and a discernment among people from these foundations that they have less to lose when locked in acts of extraordinary charitableness. Such bits of knowledge into the statistic composition of extraordinary altruists offer captivating roads for assist investigation into the motivational and relevant components driving benevolent behavior. In looking to get at the basic instruments of extraordinary benevolence, analysts have turned to developmental hypotheses, but conventional systems such as kin selection and correspondence drop brief in completely clarifying this complex marvel. Thus, elective clarifications have been proposed to shed light on the particular nature of extraordinary benevolent behavior. One such hypothesis is the exorbitant signaling hypothesis, which sets that extraordinary charitable behaviors serve as obvious signals of predominant characteristics, such as bravery, liberality, and flexibility. By undertaking high-risk activities that involve individual give-up, extraordinary altruists viably communicate their uncommon qualities to others, subsequently improving their social standing and notoriety inside their communities. This signaling instrument, established in developmental brain research, offers a compelling clarification for the predominance of extraordinary charitableness over assorted social and societal contexts. Another speculation that reverberates with the concept of extraordinary charitableness is the empathy-altruism theory, which proposes that people with increased levels of sympathy concern are more slanted to lock in acts of extraordinary charitableness. Neuroscientific Inquirer About has given experimental bolster for this theory, illustrating that extraordinary altruists display upgraded neural reactions in brain districts related with sympathy and benevolent decision-making. The increased empathic affectability of extraordinary altruists inclines them to encounter significant enthusiastic reverberation with the enduring of others, compelling them to take uncommon measures to ease trouble and advance the well-being of those in need. In outline, the wonder of extraordinary benevolence speaks to an intriguing crossing point of mental, sociological, and developmental request. By examining the socio-economic relates, basic inspirations, and neurobiological substrates of extraordinary benevolent behavior, analysts endeavor to disentangle the complexities of human benevolence and pick up more profound bits of knowledge into the essential standards that administer prosocial conduct in assorted social contexts. Thank you for watching our video.